everyone, I'm Brianna. You're in the lab, and guess what? We're going to tell you how much trans fat you can find in a pie. Pie chart, that is. Today with Bill Jellin on the lab.
How are you? Good to see you and welcome to the lab. I'm so excited. We're going to have a great time today. A great show planned for you. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Brianna McIver. How are you today?
I'm good.
Episode 183. Still learning your name,
yes.
But I am glad you got the hat. That's very cute.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you make that?
Yep. Knitted it last episode while you were working away. I was over here.
Not much to do going on. You just need a hat. Why not? Why not? I love Mr. Excel. He is here, as you said, to talk about pie charts, a little slice of goodness. And we're also going to talk about do-it-yourself art online. Dave Olson has brought a bunch of really interesting artifacts from the digital age. Do you remember cassettes? No, you wouldn't. They were long.
Yes, I do.
No, you were long before you were
barely.
born, but barely. You were just the talk. We're also going to talk to Ryan. I know where the B came from. Ryan Ewell. He's got a free program. You've got a great music site. I can't wait to show people this one. And Warren is going to take a Zune and make it into two Zunes. Is that what you said?
No, he's going to show you how they can link together.
They make the talk to the Zune talk.
Yeah.
That should be fun. Zunes will talk to each other later on the show. But first, I want to talk to you. Let's get our first call of the day on.
Okay, Tommy's waiting for you, and he's from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Hello, Tommy!
Hey, Leo.
Welcome to the lab. What can I do for you today, sir?
I just have a question. I just recently purchased an air card USB modem.
Okay.
And I was wondering how to hook it up to a wireless router.
The air card is, you get that from your cell service.
Yeah.
So it uses the cell internet on Telus' network. Now, I'm just looking here on the air card. It's a PC card, right?
No, it's the USB.
Oh, you got the USB one. Oh, that's good. All right. And it uses their 1X network, which is the predecessor to EVDO. It's not super fast, but it does allow you, it's nice, it does allow you to get internet access everywhere you can get cell phone access, right?
Yeah.
However, it's designed for one particular computer, and if you want to share it, well, then you need something that'll help you share your air, so to speak. Now, there are ways to do this, but they're expensive, and I'm not sure they'll work with the air card. Let me pull up. I have a link here. Let me see if I can find this link. It is. Oh, I can't remember what the name of it is now. Shoot, I'm sorry. There's two companies that make this. Kyocera makes a router that's designed for the PC card, and it's a little expensive. I think it's $299. I don't think you want to buy that. But I just saw a new one. What is it called? The Card? Golly, my brain is going. Is it the Card Point? Do you remember what that is called, Sean? Do you have it right there in front of you?
Let me see if I can find it.
I mentioned it in the show notes, and now I can't remember the name, and it's not on my bookmarks here.
It's Personal Hotspot.
Yeah, by
Cradlepoint.
Cradlepoint. Hey, I knew it was something like that. This is a very interesting product, but again, I'm not sure it's going to work with your Telus card. It works with almost all the cards in the U.S., and the idea is really cool. It's a personal hotspot. So if you have one of those USB cellular broadband cards, you plug it in right there, and then this becomes a Wi-Fi access point that shares it with anything that's in the area. I mean, it's a really great idea. Works with the USB modem, but I'm going to go look at their compatibility list because, unfortunately, it doesn't mention any of the carriers in Canada. It's all U.S., Sprint, Verizon, and AT&T. Now, you might look at who makes that air card, because notice that these are various brands, and it may well just be that it's brand support rather than wireless company support. So I would check. Do you know who makes the chip in the air card? Probably don't. They don't normally tell you.
I think it's Sierra Wireless.
Ah, yes, this works with the Sierra. It's the 595U. That's the one actually I use. AT&T or Sprint uses it, and I use it on Verizon in the States. And this does work with that. So I'm thinking it'll probably work with yours. But I might call Cradlepoint before buying it. It isn't cheap. Unfortunately, gosh, I don't know why these are so expensive. I mean, a Wi-Fi router is about $40 these days. I think this is $100, $150, something like that. If you shop around, yeah, you got to shop around. So I wouldn't buy it unless you can get some verification from them that it'll work with your Airbus card. Those are Air card, I should say, from TELUS. Those are the only two devices I know. There's the Kia Ceera HR1 and HR2, which is really expensive. And I don't even think that works with the USB. I think that one you have to have the PC card one. Let me just check off the top of my head to see if I can find that. Not much help. Now, the other way you can do it, which might be easier, is to use internet connection sharing. You connect it to a Windows XP box?
No, Vista.
Vista? You sound so happy about that. No. Vista is painful. Well, Vista has, as you know, network sharing. So I think if this is going to be a tricky one. Let me think about this. In order for this to work, you'd have to have a wireless card, a Wi-Fi card in your PC. Is it a laptop or a desktop you use this for?
It's a desktop.
Okay. So you can go out and buy an inexpensive wireless, a Wi-Fi card. Doesn't have to be a base station, just a Wi-Fi card. Plug the Air card into your PC and share that Air card via what they call an ad hoc network, Wi-Fi network, from that wireless card to a laptop with a wireless card. So that might be the cheapest way to go. You can get an inexpensive Wi-Fi, 40 or 50 bucks for a USB Wi-Fi device, and then use internet connection sharing on Windows. So that would be another way to go. The reason I don't jump to that answer is because it requires your PC to be on, your desktop to be on. Basically, you're turning your desktop into the router. The Cradle Point, it's kind of a standalone router. It will work all the time. Okay, so there's three ways to do it. The cheapest one by far, turn your computer into the Wi-Fi router using internet connection sharing. Okay, Tommy?
Yep. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Okay, cheer up. It's going to be okay. All right, coming up in just a bit. He seems a little depressed, I'll be honest with you. Bill Jellen's coming up. Mr. Excel. See, there's good news to be happy because we've got pie coming up when the lab continues. You stay right here. There's the man, Mr. Excel himself. He actually, I think he has a spreadsheet embedded right there into the back of his head, doesn't he? Did you ever shave your head?
That would be hilarious. Have that tattoo back there?
A little Mr. Excel tattoo. That'd be cool. Mr. Excel is here. He's are you from Akron? I see you have an Akron, Rubber City, Ohio.
That's right.
I love that. We're going to talk a little bit about this is the book. You give this book away on the site, Mr.
That's right.
Excel.
Go to the site, get the whole book for free. Try to give away 5 million copies.
Can he do it, ladies and gentlemen? We will find out. How many have you given away so far?
We're up to about 40,000 last time we checked.
Well, you got a ways to go.
Yes, we're getting close to 1%. Close to 1%.
You need a spreadsheet to calculate. But if you think about it, any book that sold 40,000 copies in the computer industry would be a huge bestseller.
Yeah, that's right. 10,000 is a computer book bestseller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've already done 4 times.
That's
that.
kind of neat, and it hasn't hurt the sales, which I love of the paper book. People want it. It's great stuff. Now we're going to talk a little bit about this. This is your one of your newer books, Charts and Graphs in Office 2007.
Right. Excel. That's from Q.
Brand new from Q.
Of course, they don't give it away, but
but we're going to give away some of the most important tips out of that right now.
That's right. Yeah. So pie charts. We're going to talk about pie charts today, and they say that pie charts are the most overused chart in Excel.
It's the first thing you do. You click and you got a pie chart, and you go, okay, I'm done.
Right. So when Dick DeBartolo drew the cartoon,
I love that.
Came up with the pie a la mode chart. Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's just take a quick look at building a pie chart, and then we'll look at some pie charts that never should have been pie charts. So basically what it is, a pie chart is great for showing components that add up to a whole.
It has to add up to a whole, otherwise it makes no sense.
Yeah. So we get a pie chart, and by default, they put the legend over here, and it's all color-coded, but if you're printing in black and white, that's horrible.
Right.
So we want to go to the Layout tab. I always just turn off the legend none, and then Data Labels. I choose the category name, definitely. We want to know what the countries are. And then either value or percentage, your call.
Percentage is good because it always is a percentage of a whole, as you point out.
Right.
And now, whether you print it in color, black, and white, you're going to know what goes where.
That's right. So this is a good pie.
Much improved pie.
Here's one that we should never do a pie. This is a time series. So we're looking at revenue from year to year to year to year.
There is no hole there.
No, I mean, this is completely pointless, and I have no idea what you should do. You should do either a column chart or a line chart, depending on how many points you have.
That makes sense. If you're showing growth over time, you want to show line or bar. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
The next one. What if we have 3 pies in a row? Is things going up? Are they going down? I can't tell.
I don't know what that is.
Instead, we switch to a stacked bar chart.
Now, I've never known how to use one of those. I see those and they look cool. So that's if you're showing how components have changed over time.
Over time.
And the whole is what you're looking at. So that's year by year sales.
So East, Central, West.
So how each makes up the total.
And you can kind of see, okay, the East went down, then it went back up.
Right.
It's harder out here in the...
It's a little harder out there, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. 3D. I hate 3D charts.
Why is that?
They look cool, but they're completely inaccurate.
They deceive you because of the perspective.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whatever's in the front of the 3D pie chart has more pixels.
Right.
So here, this is 30%. Here, it's 30%.
Which is bigger. They're the same, but it looks like the bottom one's much bigger.
It's twice as many pixels. 107% more dark blue pixels here than here.
A great way to fool the boss.
Right. So just go back to a 2D.
Yeah.
You know, here it looks the same.
That's important. Yeah.
All right. Here's another cool thing. In pie charts, they give us a whole bunch of different types of pie charts, and one of them is called an exploded pie. It takes all the wedges and explodes them.
Sounds messy.
And I frankly don't understand the point of an exploded pie chart. This is a chart about we just opened an England office.
Right.
Okay, we're off to a great start. So let's take England and explode that.
Well, that's why you'd want to do it, right? To kind of highlight England, right?
But I want to explode just England instead of the whole thing. So normally they explode the whole pie.
Well, that's just a mess.
One click selects the whole pie, but then a second single click selects just England, and now I can drag to the right.
Yeah, and that works, right?
I mean, that's kind of sharp. It shows you, you know exactly what's going on.
Looks like Pac-Man, but...
It does. Hey, that's a great idea. Okay, here's another chart. Now we're starting to have a lot of small slices.
And that doesn't work either. Too much information.
With the 80-20 rule, that almost always...
Yeah.
Okay, now I have one trick that may or may not work depending on how your slices go. I right-click on the pie, choose Format Data Series, and there's something called rotation. And we can rotate, if we rotate those small slices around to about 150, they get down in the corner.
And that actually helps.
Yeah, so down in that lower right-hand corner, there's room for the small
that actually
slices.
works. Now that works. That's a way to solve that, yeah.
Now, in the next chart, though, I have way too many slices. It just gets way too small. And they do have a great built-in style for this. If I go to Change Chart Type, and down in the pies, there's 2 interesting types. The pie of pie and the bar of pie.
Pie of pie.
I'm going to choose bar of pie. And what they do is, by default, they take all of the small slices and create them in a second chart.
So you can still see the relationships of the big groups.
That's right. And if we go in here, right-click, Format Data Series, all kinds of interesting settings where we can change how do we want to split this?
A pie explosion parameter. I think everybody should have that.
We can say anything less than 5% needs to be in the second pie, or less than 10%.
Oh, good.
You know, we have some control. And then you can also control the size between the 2 charts. So about 100% is actually the optimal right there. And it maximizes the size of both pies.
I like that.
Yeah. So
that's a good way to get all that data in there.
It helps. I mean, sometimes, you know, it'd be better just to, I don't know.
Sometimes you cannot extract information if there's too much of it.
Close the small offices.
Yeah, just close them.
They don't fit on the pie chart.
2%, who needs them? Get rid of them.
Yeah. So, interesting things you can do with a pie. Just remember, never use the time series in a pie. You'll run into trouble.
Mr. Excel really knows everything there is to know about pie charts, that is, and that's why it's all in there. Charts and graphs for Microsoft Excel 2007. It's new from Q, and you'll find it in all the bookstores everywhere. And you'll find Mr. Excel at his website, MrExcel.com. He answers tens of thousands of questions every year, absolutely free there, and he gives away copies of his books. If you use Excel, if you're an Excel pro, you've got to know about Mr. Excel. And we are so glad you come all the way up here
Thanks,
from
Leo.
beautiful Akron
to
talk about Excel with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Is it really the rubber capital of the world?
At one time it was the rubber capital of the world. Now there's Goodyear still left. Most of the other companies are left now.
It's pretty though now. It's Parkland again. And
well, it went back to a lot of white collar jobs, although still a lot of polymers, which no one in town knows what a polymer is, but we know that it's important to us.
We got them.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Excel. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back in just a bit with some great stuff. Warren's here with Zunes, and then do-it-yourself marketing. Actually, we're going to talk about do-it-yourself art online. This is a very cool segment. But first, let's take a close-up look at something you'd find around the lab. See, Sean's taking it easy on me. That's something that goes to 11. What is it? Tell you what, we'll zoom out and find out when the lab continues in just a bit. Welcome back to the lab. Before the break, we showed you this close-up of something that goes to 11. What was it? It was the MIDI Man Radium keyboard, and I think that's just a I think that's just a joke that they put that knob goes to 11. It comes from the movie This Is Spinal Tap, of course, and he had special amplifiers that everything, instead of going to 10, would go to 11. It's one louder. One louder, see? You get to 10, and you can go one more.
Too loud.
Too loud.
Too loud.
Let's get another caller on the air. Who do you have for me,
I
Brianna?
have Eric from London, Ontario. He's really excited to be here.
Is he?
Yes.
He's really
so
excited? Are you really excited, Eric?
Yep.
Yep. I'm excited. I'm so excited. I like that picture of you, Eric. You look very relaxed there.
Yep.
Yep. Are you a student?
Yes, I am.
Where are you a student?
At South Secondary School.
Let's say hi to everybody at South Secondary School in beautiful London, Ontario. What can we do for you today?
I'm playing a lot of games on my computer.
Uh-oh. Does Dad know that?
Yes, he does.
Oh, okay. Does he play with you?
Yes.
All right. Cool Dad.
And I was wondering if there are any processes I could close
Oh, yeah.
so that
yeah.
I can run it faster.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting question because you're playing on Windows, I take it?
Yeah, XP.
And as you know, in Windows XP, there's a lot of extra stuff going on. Actually, any modern operating system, they're very complex nowadays. There's a ton of stuff going on. If I right-click my computer and select Manage, that's going to bring up the Computer Management Console. This is something Microsoft started putting in XP, and I just love this thing. And you go to the Services tab, and you can see all of this. These are services. Now, these are not, you probably know about MS-config. In fact, let me run MS-config. I'm going to start run MS-config. And with MS-config, you can see all the things that start up in System Ini and Windows Ini. But the services, there's a lot more of those. And MS-config shows you all of them. But MS-config isn't as powerful, in my opinion, as using the services Computer Management Console, because the Services Computer Management Console shows you more about these services. It actually tells you what the service does. You can change how it starts up. For instance, if I right-click on this and select Properties, I can say it starts up automatically, it starts up manually, that is when I request it, or it's completely disabled. These are things you really can't set in MS-config. The problem is, what do we turn off? Look at all these services. There's dozens and dozens of them. And it's hard to say exactly what they do, even from that description. So here's a site I recommend that's really useful. It was actually a guy just like you, Eric, named Black Viper. Is that your secret name, Eric? Black Viper?
No.
No, he's a gamer. And on Windows XP, he said, I think I could get better performance on my system if I turned off some services. But what services to turn off? Well, that's when he got to work, and he literally went through each and every one, tested it, to see what would happen if he turned it off, and he's come up with a list. Now, there's a Vista list, and here's the XP list, and this notes for a happier computer and user. Read these notes. Read the list. This will tell you what should be turned on and off. And notice he has different kinds of users. Bare bones is probably the best for gaming. There's power user, there's safe, there's default pro. There's a lot of good choices in here. And what you really want to do is read this. He will tell you one by one which services to turn off. And there's also a really good explanation, a tutorial on how to create hardware configuration so that when you boot Windows, it says, okay, do you want a game today and have a minimum configuration, or are you just going to surf the net and you want the full configuration? So this guy really has it down cold. BlackViper.com. It was gone for a while. He's come back. I actually donated money to him when he came back because I didn't want him ever to leave, because this is a very useful site, and I'm real pleased to see he's now done it for Vista as well. So you're using XP Service Pack 2. Here's the list for XP Service Pack 2. Okay, Eric?
Okay.
Okay. Now, Eric, can you do me a favor? Just calm down a little bit, because I think you're a little overexcited, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. We'll talk to you later.
Before I go, I'd just like to say I really like your show.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad you watch. Are you the local geek at your school?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they all come to you and say, Eric, I can't figure out how to. But just between us guys, it's a great way to get girls. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. I think times have changed since I was a geek. Thanks, Eric.
All right.
I was in the AV squad. That didn't help much at all. right? The girls would just look at you and go, no, I don't think so. Hey, you want to go to the dance? I know how to run a projector. I don't think so. So it's time for Sean's Shiny, and once again, I see an iPod, but what's so shiny about this?
Well, it's the newest version of the iPod Touch. Now, maybe not so new by the time you see this, but for those who haven't had a chance to see this new version yet, they've added a few improvements into this that are really nice.
Good. All right, so what's new?
Well, first of all, a shiny dock at the bottom. I guess
that wasn't shiny before?
No, it wasn't shiny. They've sort of metallicized
it's
it.
more
a
like
bit on the
iPhone.
No, not on the bottom, but on the bottom of the screen.
Oh, this dock.
That part.
That dock?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
this
at the
dock.
bottom,
It's shinier, yeah.
Yeah, but the key thing about this new version of the Touch is that they've actually brought in a lot of the applications that were on the iPhone but were missing from the iPod.
Ah.
So things like the Maps and YouTube and Mail, you can now do all of these things on both the iPhone and the iPod
Now,
Touch.
of course, it doesn't have the internet connectivity through the cell phone network that the iPhone has, but it does have Wi-Fi built into it.
Yeah, which is better. You get better speed out of that if you're in a hotspot or at your home or whatever, or work.
Yeah, and a lot more memory now on these. These go up to 32 gigabytes.
Right, so it was up to 16 before, now you get twice the memory on board. So because these are very good for doing video, that's actually a real big plus because now you can fit twice as much video onto this.
Yeah, I ran out and bought the 32 gig. And I don't use it so much for music and audiobooks. I use it mostly for video because I want to be able to watch movies and TV shows.
Wasn't Laporte's law that when you buy something, they release the better version the day after?
That's exactly what happened. So anyway. But the good news is now Apple's allowing applications for the iPhone, and for those of us in Canada who can't buy an iPhone, those same applications will, in most cases, run on the iPod Touch.
Well, you never know. We're in a weird temporal anomaly here. The iPhone may be out by the time you see this, maybe not.
It's not.
You never know.
Don't get your hopes up, Carruthers.
I'm not.
It's not going to be out.
I'm not counting on it, but you never know.
You never know. If it's out, we're sorry. We didn't think it would be out by now. So that is a little more expensive too. In fact, these are very pricey.
Yeah, it's $4.99 for the 32 gigabyte version. You can save a bit of money and get the 16.
Am I scaring you?
Yeah. But the good news is if you have the old version, you can actually update to the new interface for
$20 bucks. Yeah.
I mean, it should have been free theoretically, but $20.
They say it has something to do with accounting rules. I don't know if I buy that, but anyway, yeah, I like these. I like these iPod Touches. There's another thing people should know about before they buy an iPod Touch compared to, say, an iPod Classic or the Nano, which is that there are no controls on it. That in order for you to pause it, turn it up, go to the next track, unlike the iPhone, there's no buttons on the side. You have to double tap the home button, and that'll pull up the iPod interface, and then you can do that. But it's all on screen, so you have to turn it on, you have to take it out of your pocket, and that's kind of a pain.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's really cool.
Great for video. Oh, I love it. It's my main iPod now. All right, thanks, Sean. Shinies, pros and cons?
There you go. Well,
Wi-Fi?
You can surf anywhere. It does have a higher capacity now, which is great for video people. Well, no built-in speaker. That's actually a dull.
That's a dull.
The one thing, third-party apps are coming. They may be here by the time you're seeing this.
Oh, they will be for sure, yeah.
And the bad thing, it's kind of expensive, as you mentioned.
I wish I had a speaker. I like that on the iPhone. I could listen to it. It wasn't a great speaker, but for spoken word, it was fine. For podcasts and audiobooks, I could, put it under my pillow and listen like that. Anyway, let's coming up in just a bit, Warren's going to show us the zoom. We can kind of compare it to the Touch. But first, which of the following is not a commonly used view mode? We're talking about on TVs, 480i, 576p, 685i, or 1080p. That's our quiz question of the day. We'll talk about it a little later on. Welcome back to the lab. Dave Olson is here. He's quite a character. You might find his stuff at UncleWeed.net. He also works for Rain City Studios,
Indeed.
One of our favorite websites. You kind of do their podcasts and their new media stuff.
Yeah, all the new media stuff. I've been a compulsive social media maker my whole life, so it just was a natural fit to do the blogs and podcasts for Rain City.
Now, if you doubt Dave when he says my whole life, look at this. Was this your little zine?
Yeah.
How old were you when you did this? The Pig Express.
I was 8 years old in Surrey with a subscriber count of 35, but
this was on a Ditto machine.
This was on a Ditto machine that had that great smell. Now, young kids might not know, but they have this great smell, and church newsletters and stuff like that were made on these
The
school
way
newsletters.
this thing worked, it was really it's funny. I would love to see one of these again.
Round cylinder and a weird kind of carbon thing. You put it on this.
You would type on a special kind of paper, and it would kind of punch holes in the paper, and then you could run it through this thing, and you could print out copies, but they would get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker, and eventually, so you could only really probably do 35.
I think then you had to fill it up with this liquid toner stuff. So it's very complicated.
Everything was kind of blue. But you know, now this is very retro feeling.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the point of this, is that this stuff never dies.
It never does.
Yeah.
And so many people toss it out. You know, they move out of their mom's house and they toss it all out. I managed to hold on to this stuff in boxes and storage sheds over the last bunch of years while I was traveling the world. And now with my, you know, all these digital tools,
I'm all of a sudden scanning this stuff in?
I'm scanning it. I'm taking the old cassette tapes and I'm digitizing them and reusing them.
So these are cassettes that you collected, say, in Japan on your travels?
Yeah, this was a metal band in Japan called Scandal.
Scandal.
And it was a buddy like, oh man, you got to hear my band. And I was like, sure. And it sat in a shoebox for 12 years now. I pull it into my M-Audio little podcaster-rater.
You have this little device here. This is not a very expensive device, just a couple $100. And
it's a few $100, but well worth it, yeah.
And so it's you plug it, your cassette player into the bottom here, and you digitize it, and now you're making music on your podcast and stuff you're using?
Yeah, I use all this old stuff that I found. This is me on the radio in Guam in 1994, and all of a sudden I can get this stuff and digitize it and podcast it now.
Now there's actually a larger point here, which is that a lot of what goes on the internet now is remixing, reusing, mashups, and in fact it turns out that's always what art has been. Art has always been taking the stuff that we grew up with, that we knew. We stand on the shoulders of giants.
Upside down
and shake it up.
Shake it up.
Yep. I mean, when Disney made Cinderella, he was using old fairy tales. Of course, now the Disney Corporation and its copyright laws are kind of making it hard for people to do this. Fortunately, you have a lot of content of your very own that you can reuse. Did I crush the Pig Express?
Oh,
I hope not.
This is issue 1. But what you hit on there is really what got me thinking about this. I scanned this and I put it up on Flickr, and my buddy Brad was like, "Hey, you know, your blog's looking a little bit dated there." And I started thinking about, well, this plus RSS. What's really the difference between that?
Wouldn't that be a good design for a blog? Make a blog look like a ditto sheet.
Yeah, the lovely font there, and have that smudge.
It's all in Courier.
But you know, I wasn't just stuck in ditto. I did move on to Xerox and made some punk rock fanzines.
Now, these were big. The zines were big in the 70s with copy machines.
For
in the
me,
80s.
it was more like the 80s.
Yeah,
but,
well, you were kind of retro even then.
But you know what I really found is, you know, I'd go into my parents' real estate office and run these off after hours, and it turned out they were counting by click. Yeah, let's just say I had to do a lot of paper routes to pay for these. And but I did learn the wonders of getting free stuff, and really that international collaboration, where all of a sudden people would be sending me their fanzines from all around the world, sending me free records and that kind of stuff.
What's interesting is now with the internet, it's so much easier for kids today. I mean,
all of a sudden it's free or cheap.
It's free or cheap, and they can do it. Although I kind of like the feeling of real materials and real world stuff, and so it's kind of neat to remind people that people have been doing this for years.
Yeah, there's something really to be said for the form factor of a magazine, and also just resurrecting like the cultural history that's contained in these thousands and thousands of zines that people were making for decades that are now just sitting in basements. And when I started resurrecting this stuff, I found that other people had been keeping my zines and stuff that I'd kept and scanning them and putting up on websites. So I wasn't the only one.
I encourage people. A lot of people have tapes in the basement. A lot of the radio people that I know and have worked with have great interviews, and this stuff is going to die on these old magnetic tapes unless they can start digitizing them and getting them on the net.
Yeah, because in radio and TV, they film so much stuff and then only use 20-minute interviews, so you use tons of stuff. You know,
the net's got plenty of room.
Plenty of room. So Archive.org will host it for free.
Let's see how you use this stuff.
Well, in the case here, I found a great site called Punk History Canada, and this is when I realized that there's other people who were as nuts as me holding on to this stuff. And I found I was going to scan and put in this flyer, which is my buddy's band opening for DOA in Surrey, which is a pivotal moment for a young punk. And other people had already scanned this and put this in. And I was like, wow, I wonder whatever happened to that guy who made this fanzine. And sure enough, here's this fanzine, Terminally Stupid.
That's the other thing the net has changed, is because it's easy to search for anything, you can find this stuff.
All that stuff I thought was hidden.
It's not secret.
And as far as the podcasts go, you know, I use all you need is some server space, which is free or cheap, and then a free WordPress.com blog. And then I take this little recorder device with a little handy mic here. I go everywhere, and whether it be just talking about what's going on, I do a lot of traveling through work and stuff, so I'll be like, here I am in London, it's 3 in the morning and it's raining, and then take that home and mash it up with this old jazz cassette tape that a friend made that's gone with me to literally 14 countries. He recorded in 1991. It's still alive, but I'm glad I have it digitized now.
I think a lot of people are nervous about putting themselves out because they feel like they can't do a polished product. So this kind of stuff is inspiring. you can be freewheeling with this.
Absolutely,
can't you?
yeah. Let your freak flag fly, and what you're going to find is people all over the world are totally on the same wavelength as you, and they want to share this little niche content. And we get so hung up on thinking everything's got to be slick and polished and edited. Not really.
No,
not
in
really.
fact, I think the audience doesn't want that. What they want is authenticity. They don't want it to be packaged and canned and chewed up. They want to see it the real unfiltered way.
Yeah, and there's unlimited time and space out there, so let the whole thing roll and,
Right.
and express yourself, and don't be afraid of the cost. There's really no excuses anymore. You don't have to pay for Xerox copies. You don't have to use the old Ditto machine.
Right.
Just get yourself some free tools and have some fun with it, because everyone's got something to say, for sure.
I tell you, Dave, obviously you do, and there's so much great stuff. Where can we I guess UncleWeed.net's the place to start.
Yeah, it's kind of a library for all my writing projects, and I do a heap of podcasts and everything from poetry to discourse on hockey. So you'll find something you might enjoy there. But I love sharing this stuff and these conferences around town as well.
The freedom that you have, that you found to just do it.
It's really revolutionary.
Yeah, and I want you to communicate that out to everybody who's watching. It's okay, just do it. Have that freedom.
It's a brand new renaissance, and I think I'm ready.
Yeah, that's exciting. Thank you so much for being here. Dave Olson is a writer, producer, zine author. You can find more at UncleWeed.net or on our website, labwithleo.com.
Excellent stuff.
Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. It's fun to see these artifacts of an earlier era and how it's translated really to the modern age very, very well. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back in a little bit. We've got dual Zunes. We're going to get them talking to one another. I see that Warren's working frantically on that, and a whole lot more coming up in just a little bit. You stay right here. The Lab continues right after this. Welcome back to the Lab. Let's get another caller on the air, see if we can help somebody else with their tech problems. Brianna, who do you have?
Derek from Langley, BC.
I see him right there. Hello,
Yeah.
Derek.
Hi.
Welcome to the Lab. What can I do for you today?
Well, I'm trying to back up some of my DVDs. I kind of want to make a media library.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm eventually getting an Apple, like either Apple TV, Mac Mini sort of thing. So I want to do this once because it takes a long time.
Right.
But I'm trying to make it so it'll act like a DVD, like with selectable subtitles, selectable audio tracks, so I get commentaries or foreign languages, stuff like that.
Right.
I know the new purchase movies and stuff off iTunes, you can do that since jobs.
Well, the deal is that, all of that stuff comes with a DVD because there's a lot of space. Mm-hmm. So if you just use something like Handbrake, are you on a Mac or Windows?
Both.
Both. Handbrake, which is on Mac and Windows as well. To rip it, it just takes the video and with whatever settings you give it and makes a MPEG-4 video out of it, a QuickTime movie basically. And so it's not going to have all the features. It's not going to have the menus. It's not going to have the additional audio tracks and all that stuff. In order to get that, you need to rip the whole DVD, all the structure, the index, everything. And so there are a couple of programs that will do that on both PC and Mac. It's going to be more storage. And you're not going to be able to play it on a media device. You're going to have to play it as if it's a DVD. You have to use, on the Mac, the DVD player. On the Mac, on Windows, you'll have to buy a DVD playing program that will play at the DVD. But instead of pointing it to a disc, you just point it to a folder on the hard drive.
Well, I'm not too worried about the menuing structure. It's just the movie itself, pretty much.
Well, if you say closed captions, if you say additional audio tracks, all that stuff, that's part of it.
Okay.
You can't just rip the movie and have all that stuff. It's not in the movie. It's in all those extra files on the DVD. And the menuing system is how you get to them. You know, it's funny. For instance, I'll give you an example. You know, sometimes the track is saved on the DVD as an entire movie with the track. But most of the time, there's the video, and then you give an instruction to the DVD player to load this audio track in with the video, or load this captioning. For instance, director's commentary is not stored as the whole movie with the director's commentary behind it. The DVD player mixes them together from separate tracks on the DVD. So you can't just rip the movie. And that's going to confuse Apple TV. Now, Apple TV does support captioning. Apple made a big deal about this. The problem is that you then have to rip you have to figure out a way to rip that movie with the captions in it. And Handbrake doesn't necessarily know how to do that.
Okay, I noticed it hard codes them is the only thing. So. Well,
yeah, it's hard coded because basically it's making an MPEG-4 file which doesn't have support for captioning. So if it's going to get the caption in there, it kind of has to merge them and make. You can't turn the caption on and off.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? The movie will either have a caption or not. Mm-hmm. And that's, by the way, why Apple TV right now in its current state, when you rent a movie, they don't usually have captions in them. Even though the support is in the hardware player, it's not really in the files yet. The QuickTime can support this multimedia stream and stuff, but nobody's doing it this way. So my suggestion is to be kind of proactive, is to rip the full DVD. Use something like Mac the Ripper, which is a DVD extractor. It doesn't turn it into an MPEG-4. It just takes everything that's on the DVD, removes any copy protection, macro vision, region encoding, all those things that keep you from playing it again, and puts it on your hard drive. Now, at some point down the road, there will be tools that will somehow work with Apple TV or the media players that can then take the contents of that and turn it into what you want, which is a selectable system.
Okay.
But we're not there yet, in other words. So best bet is just to rip the whole thing or just keep the DVD. I mean, I would like to see tools that do that. And as you may know, I mean, this was a big selling point on the Apple TV. They have this capability. They've got closed captioning. The problem is most of the movies that you rent on the Apple TV don't have it. So there's Ratatouille with the captioning on it, which is great. What exactly do you want? Do you want alternate audio tracks?
Yeah, just an alternate audio track and be able to turn on and off the subtitles. That's pretty much it.
Like director's commentary or like different languages? Or?
Both, depending on what the movie it is.
Yeah. You know, I don't think Handbrake is smart enough to figure that out. I mean, that would be a really good thing to add to Handbrake.
I think I read they just done the audio part. I'm just still trying to figure out the subtitle part. Like, I think they did a new version the other day.
Subtitles are stored, I believe, are stored in a kind of a different... let's see, here it is, multi-track audio support for Apple devices. So that is in the latest one. You know, I'll be honest, I've used Handbrake for a long time, and I haven't really figured out how to do that. But that's exactly what they need to do, is start to pay attention to these other content stored on the disk and use it, or give users a way to do it. But what will happen with the multi-track audio support is they'll have to rip it and make it specific to QuickTime, for instance, specific to the player and do it the way the player will do it. So I guess what they're probably doing is they're planning. By the way, this requires Leopard, so it's clear they're planning to be compatible with Apple TV and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're getting there. I would go to the community section at handbrake.fr and get involved with it and say, look, this is something we really want. See where they stand. It may even well be that, you know, this is a great project that is very well supported in the open source community, and I have a feeling that they're very open to these kinds of inputs, especially if you want to help out.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Hey, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it. It's a great point, and we're getting there. You know, we're just in the early days of this stuff. I'd love to have all the features that, you know, I love the director's commentary. I'd love to be able to rip a DVD and be able to flip the director's commentary on and off. I think we're getting there. I don't think we're there yet.
Well, I just like the whole aspect of the media library now. I've gotten so used to it with
right.
and stuff.
Who wants discs?
Just getting there too.
Who wants discs? I just want it all on a hard drive, and I can watch it anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for the call. It's a really great question, and I think you know, clearly this is what users want. But remember, the motion picture industry doesn't want this at all. They're not going to cooperate. They want you to buy the disc. They don't like the idea of you doing any of this stuff. They say, buy the disc. You can't rip it. That's illegal. Now it's time to take a walk over to the man, the king of illegal, Mr. Ryan Ewell. King of illegal, who knows how to rip, burn, do anything you want with your DVD. Isn't that right?
Well, you have called me a communist before, so share and share alike, right?
What do we have today?
It's for Windows, and here's a problem a lot of people have. You minimize your windows, and you get the little taskbar, and down at the bottom, but a lot of times you can't tell what's down there. Well, this little program called Visual Task Tips.
Yeah, because Vista does this, but XP doesn't.
XP doesn't. So it actually gives you a preview when you hover over top of the minimized window. You can change the size if it's too big, too small, but it's just a real indication of, if I click on this, what's actually going to come up. There you go.
So if you've got Vista Envy and you're using XP, this will give you that. That's one of the, you know, there's only a handful of features of Vista that you can't live without.
And now there's one less.
One less. What's the name of that?
It's called Visual Task Tips.
Visual Task Tips. And the nice thing is it's free.
Yeah, it actually also runs in Vista in classic mode. Just so you know.
Oh, that's a good point. So if you turn off the arrow features in Vista, which normally are required for that thumbnail, you can still get this.
In classic mode, you can.
That is a nice thing.
So go to labwithleo.com, free files, you'll find this and many, many, many more.
Actually, 183 to be exact.
You're keeping count, aren't you?
Every one of them.
Am I getting paid by the free file? Okay.
No. Are you getting paid at all? I don't believe so. I think we haven't.
I'll have to check my bank account.
Not a penny. Not a penny for this man. He's a communist.
Yes.
Coming up, the Zune. Can it talk to itself? Too Zune for Apple's doom? Warren Fry discovers. That's a picture to keep. That's a keeper. Right now, though, one more chance to answer this question. Which of the following video modes is not commonly used on TVs? 480i, 576p, 685i, or 1080p? I don't know. What do you think? We'll answer that question in just a bit. Stay here. Welcome back to the lab. Before the break, we asked you which of the following is not commonly used on your TV. I know 480i is kind of generic TV, 1080p we know, but it's with that middle one. I never heard of 576p. That's PAL. 685i. Nobody uses that, huh?
Sounds like CCAM.
Which nobody uses.
Nobody uses.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Warren Fry is going to do the amazing, the unheard of, the never before seen on national television. He's going to make two Zunes talk to each other.
Maybe.
Maybe not ever seen. So we've got the 80 gig Zune.
Yep.
These are the new 2.0 versions. This is the little one. Is this 4 and 8? One
That's
of those.
That's
okay.
8. Yeah.
So what are we going to do here today?
Well, we're going to try and make one talk to the other. That's the selling point of the Zune. You can squirt, quote unquote.
Squirt songs
back
one to
and
the
forth.
other. And they use Wi-Fi.
They use, but it's only an ad hoc network. It's not actually like an iPod Touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Apple kind of scooped them by making it possible to buy music on the iPod Touch. You can go to the iTunes store. You can download music. Even though the Wi-Fi's been in the Zune longer than in the Apple iPod, you still can't do that.
And that's kind of the whole theme of the Zune. It's a pretty good unit. It's actually quite decent, but it's one step behind, again, Apple.
Yeah, you know, if iPod didn't exist, I've said this many times,
Yeah.
the Zune would be great.
This is actually, and it's way better than the first generation.
So show me. So shall I be a squirty or a squirter?
You should be a squirty. I'll try to send you something.
Okay, I'm going to be the squirty.
So what I'll do is I'll key this in.
All right. Do I need to do anything?
You
here?
need to go to social.
I need to go to social. Okay, forgive me. I'm going to turn this so I can read it here.
Test
So
playlist.
I'm going to social. Okay, there I am on social. I'm going to click the squircle. That's what this is called, by the way. A square circle is a squircle.
And the interface is a little better. Like I actually like the sliding back and forth movement. It's pretty decent.
Yeah,
like,
that actually does something. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Okay,
It's almost
so now
better than
what? So I just sit here, right?
So you sit here, and in theory,
Something will arrive in my inbox.
Send your greedy Zune. So there we go.
I'm a greedy little Zune. Ooh, I like it. See, one thing the Zune's done. Oh, look at that. Now I say yes, right?
Oh, it worked. Great.
Yeah? You sound surprised.
I am a little surprised.
I love the little sparklies. One thing that's been great about the Zune is the user interface. Now, if I start to walk away, how far will this go?
I wouldn't walk too far. It is ad hoc, after all.
Thank you for the squirting me a slug. What slug did you squirt me? I hope it's not Rick Astley.
No, thank God. It isn't Rick Astley.
Never gonna give you up. What is it? What are you squirting me?
It's just a royalty-free
Sure
tune.
taking a long time.
It takes a while. That's the other thing. And I've had about a 50-50 chance of getting songs back and forth in these things. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
One of the complaints people had about early Squirtles is that it would squirt copy-protected stuff. In other words, you could only play it 3 times.
It still does that.
Oh.
And you can't
but
send it
not
back
true on podcasts anymore.
Right.
I understand that that's only on copy-protected music, that they did kind of eliminate that, because that was copy-protected my podcast. Somebody wants to squirt my podcast, I want them to play it over and over and over again. So now that's okay, right?
That's okay.
Okay, but on music you buy on the Zune Marketplace.
Yeah.
Oh, is it there?
I think it might be.
It's done.
Yeah.
Now what do I do?
I think you hit OK.
Okay, I hit OK.
If you can get to it.
And now, let's wake yours up. Now you hit OK too. And now it's on there. What was the song you sent me? Let's see if it's there.
It's not going.
Is it Lab Tune 1 or Lab Tune 2?
Should be both of them. Should be the playlist.
You sent me 2.
I think I did.
So you sent me an entire playlist.
Yeah.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
So it works.
You sound so surprised.
I'm a little surprised.
Have you tried this a number of times and it didn't work?
Well, it's worked half and half.
See, the idea is you would maybe be sitting next to a friend at an internet cafe, or an attractive girl would be sitting at another table, and you say, hey, what are you listening to? And she says, why, nothing. What are you listening to? Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up. Would you like to listen? Oh, sure. You know, the funny thing is Steve Jobs' response to this is, well, that's stupid. Why don't you just share headphones?
Exactly. Well, you're not going to get any ear gunge with these things, if it works.
So it works, ladies and gentlemen. You can have 2 Zunes talk to one another. It's never before been seen, and now It has.
Mm-hmm. And there are a few other things that it has going for it. You can subscribe to music, which you can't do in the iPod.
So we did an experiment with you. We actually took away your iPod and made you listen to a Zune for like a week. How do you feel?
I think it's as good as an older iPod. It's not as good as an iPod Touch.
They even look like the older iPods.
Yeah.
Well, one thing they did do nice, and I have to say this is almost as good as a Touch, is the screen is now, it's big, it turns sideways, you can watch movies on it. Until the Touch came out, this was actually the best screen on the market.
And it's actually a brighter screen. I think it might still be a better screen.
Okay. Do we have any video on here I could...
Yeah, you can keep video.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go to the I like the user interface a lot. I mean, I think Microsoft's done a really good job.
They had the same people who designed the 360 do these, so...
So I'll just play, I don't know what some of these things are. Am I going to get in trouble if I play some of these?
It's all stuff Microsoft gave me, so I'm sure you're fine.
Oh, they wouldn't give you anything bad. So here we go. And I have to say, it's a good looking... There it is. There's a little video coming up. Ooh, it's kind of dark.
Oh, it is. Maybe tap on it?
No, it's just the...
Oh, there you go.
There it is. That's pretty good.
Now that's
video.
entertainment right there.
I'm enjoying it. You know, there's nothing like hands playing instruments. Mm-hmm. No. Or kissing. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Warren says...
it's a 3 out of 4. 75%. Nice try.
Hey, they talk to each other.
They do talk to each other, yes.
Thank you very much, Warren Fry.
No problem.
We're going to take a break, come back with more. Actually, speaking of music, you're going to love this next one. Brianna found a great site, probably one of the best music. It's kind of like Dig for music sites. Mm-hmm. I just love this. It's radio on the internet, great songs, find new songs. We'll tell you all about it when the lab continues. You stay right here. Well done. Look, they're both talking. Welcome back to the lab. It's time now for Brianna's tip, and she's got a very exciting one for us.
Yeah,
today.
I feel like it's like the new MySpace or something.
This is going to be big.
Yeah.
You know, I found out about this just a couple of days ago, so it's funny that you should be talking about it. I was talking to Jonathan Colton, who's the geek musician, very talented, and he's used this site as a way to promote his music. It's a great place for independent artists to go to get known.
Yeah, so basically you log in, set up the account. It's the61.com.
What does that mean? The 61?
It's Route 61, which is like a highway, I guess, that was traveled by musicians since way back when, you know?
Okay, cool.
Traveling along, spreading the love, spreading the music alongside of the highway.
Is it mostly unsigned artists on here, or are there big-name artists? Or?
Not so much big-name artists. It's mostly smaller ones, so it's a good way to discover new music.
Because it has a voting system,
right? It does. It's like they call it like a music game. So basically, you get points when you sign up, and you get more points for doing certain things. Like you get points for listening to a new artist. So if you're running low on points, you can go listen to music and get more.
So it encourages you to explore.
Yeah, and you mentioned before that it's similar to Dig in the way that when you listen to a song, you call it bumping it. So if you bump it, that basically
brings it up a little higher.
Brings it up in the rankings on the actual website.
So theoretically, when I look at the front page, this is like the top songs.
These are the top songs
according to people who visit the site.
Yeah, and if you bump a song and you're the first one to bump it, and then it gets a lot of hits, you get extra points, and you also
get
featured.
Is a game.
Yeah, and
that's really neat.
The artists have profiles, and if you've been bumping their music, then they'll add you to their profile, and people will see you and get points.
Can I download songs from the site, or can I only play them back?
You can purchase them though. Oh. Yeah, it's all DRM free.
But they are for sale.
They are for sale, and it also links you to Amazon to buy music too.
Right,
so,
another great place to buy music.
And it also, the money goes to the site and the artist on the website.
Yeah,
so
Jonathan
that's really
loves
good.
it.
Yeah.
The 61. So you're young and hip. Did you find some stuff on here?
Yeah,
you really
I've been looking through some stuff, and most of it is unknown, but it's really fun to find new stuff.
I think this is great. This is the kind of model we need. We don't have radio to promote as much anymore. This is great for artists. Hey, we thank you so much for being here. Hope you'll come back. We'll see you soon, all right? Bye-bye.